Good morning, everybody. Mr. Frenzy here, and Bones, of course. Hi, Bones. How's it going? You're looking very festive today, Bones. I like the Santa hat. Looks good. All right. Today, we're going to start talking about something called evolution. Really cool topic. We get to find out where we came from, how we've changed through time, and where we predict where we're going in the future as a species and as organisms here on Earth. So, exactly what is evolution? Evolution is the process by which a species changes over time. Okay? As the years have gone by, as hundreds and hundreds and millions of years have gone by, animals are changing what they look like. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at. We're going to be taking a look at how are we changing what we look at, why we look the way we do, and why are we changing to look the way we do. So this stuff's important. So let's check it out. Okay, first thing you need to know. Okay, most life forms evolve over millions of years. This is a long process. This is not something you see over 1, 2, or even 3 generations. Okay, this takes millions of years to happen. Okay, so it's a very slow process. So it's been difficult to study in the past, but we have now found evidence that evolution exists, and we're going to take a look at all of it. Okay, there are more than 4 million species of organisms here on Earth. They're discovering species every single year. They're finding more and more and more because we're able to explore more of the Earth with the technology that we have. Now, evolution explains why we are so diverse. Okay, all organisms look different. They have different traits that make them successful in their environments. Okay, we're a very diverse population. We have different heights. We have different speeds. People have different quality of vision. All of these things, okay, add to the diversity of an organism and its ability to survive here on Earth. Now, the thing that actually causes us to be able to survive or not is the environment. We have to change with the environment. Okay, if we don't change within an environment, then we die out. The example is the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were not able to change as the environment of the Earth was changing. So a lot of dinosaurs found it very difficult to exist because they could not evolve fast enough. All right, so we have to evolve with our environment, okay, in order to survive in the environment with favorable traits. And that's what this whole thing is about. If we can't change with the environment, then as a species, we're going to die off. So far, so good for the human species, though. Now, what helps us change with our environment? This is what's known as an adaptation. An adaptation is a trait, okay, a characteristic, a physical characteristic that helps an organism survive in its environment, okay? Some people are better adapted to do things than others. So here's an example. In the left-hand picture that you see there, okay, we have a yellow spider living on a yellow flower. That's a very good adaptation for that spider to help it to survive. Why? Why do you think, Bones? That's right, because it's hard to see. It's camouflaged. It's camouflaged into the yellow flower, okay, which makes it difficult for predators to find it, and then it can survive a lot longer. All right, we have a toad, okay, a mud toad in the middle picture. Again, it is camouflaged in with its surroundings, making it difficult for predators to see it. That is a good adaptation. There are tons of different adaptations out there that help an organism in its environment. Okay, even our thumbs. Okay, our thumbs are an adaptation. These thumbs help us grab things, help us turn things. All right, that's an adaptation for human beings. All right, we can also see the stick bug over here. All right, it looks like a piece of grass, making it difficult for birds to be able to see it in order to eat them. All right, so adaptations are a trait that helps an organism survive in its environment. If that yellow spider was living in a bunch of black flowers, are there even black flowers there, Bones? I'm not even sure. Or purple flowers, then birds would be able to see it a lot more easily and they would be eaten and not be able to survive. So adaptations, favorable adaptations, help us survive in the environment. Now, exactly how do the adaptations work? Okay. Now, adaptations, okay, can be structural, all right, body parts, behavioral, instincts, knowing what to do, or physiological, okay? So all of these things are included in what types of adaptations different organisms have. So this is basically what happens. The better an organism is adapted, the longer they can live. Because they're adapted into their environment, they live longer, which means if they live longer, they reproduce more. Okay, that's what organisms want to do in the environment. They want to reproduce as much as possible to pass on those favorable characteristics. Now, because they're reproducing more, chances are they're going to be passing on those favorable adaptations, those enhanced traits that make them able to survive better than other organisms in their environment. Okay, this is what helps them. So, for instance, we have a peacock spreading out his feathers. All right, that's going to help him, number one, scare away predators that are after him when he opens up his tail. It's also going to help him find a mate when he shakes those tail feathers in order to be able to reproduce. An owl. Owl has lots of adaptations that make it favorable in its environment. Number one, it can fly at night because it's got night vision. Very cool. Okay. It could also spin its head around. All right. So it can see everywhere. All right. So it can see where predators are coming. And the coolest part about an owl, which I love it, is they can actually fly without any sound. Their feathers are made in a special way that they can fly and be totally silent in order to go out and hunt. It's like a ninja owl. I love owls. They're really cool. We also have camels. Okay, camels have tons of adaptations that allow it to survive in the desert. Okay, number one, they have big hooves. Okay, their hooves are so big that it spreads out their weight so they don't sink in the sand. All right, they're also camouflaged into the sand because of their fur color. Another big adaptation. They also have really long eyelashes to help keep sand out of their eyes, and really long tongues to clean their eyes with the sand that's blowing around in the desert as well. And then we have a mountain goat. Look at the strength and the muscles in its legs to be able to climb mountainsides to make it difficult for predators to come find it. All right. So the better adapted an organism is to its environment, the longer it's going to live, the more it's going to reproduce, and then the more of that enhanced trait or that favorable characteristic is going to be passed on to future generations. Just like you inherit characteristics from your parents, these organisms are passing down their favorable characteristics to their offspring. And so over millions and millions of years, this leads to evolution. Now, because it's such a long, slow process, okay, what you find is variation among organisms. Variation. Little differences, small differences in traits among the same organism. Now, sources of variation can include lots of different things. There could be mutations. A mutation could lead to a small variation to give an organism an advantage. And different gene combinations from sexual reproduction. Remember, sexual reproduction, we're blending a sperm and an egg cell from mom and from dad and getting different gene combinations, which will then lead to different characteristics among us. All right, so we have a group of finches here. Okay, a group of finches is a type of bird. They're all finches. However, if you notice, their beaks are a little bit different. They have a little variation in their beak. So this first finch right here, okay, you can see it has a very large beak. That beak is used to break open seeds. Okay, it's still a finch. It will reproduce with other finches, but it has a stronger beak, so it's going to use a different food source in order to survive. We have another finch with a slightly longer beak and thinner beak here. Okay, this beak here of the cactus groundfinch allows it to reach in to get nectar from flowers and cactus fruits and things like that, where the large groundfinch would not be, its beak's not long enough to reach in and get that. We have a vegetarian finch, which its beak is specialized in able to eat different types of plant buds and things like that. And finally, a woodpecker finch, which allows it a very strong, skinny, straight beak, long straight beak, that allows it to peck and find insects in order to eat. So because they're all finches and because their beaks are all a little different, they're all eating different food sources. So they're not competing with each other directly. They can eat their food sources, they can grow, they can reproduce, and they can pass on those favorable traits to their offspring. Okay, so evolution, very long process that shows how species and organisms change over time. These changes are a result of their adaptations to their environment. Either their adaptations allow them to survive in the environment or they die off. Now, within these adaptations, there are small little variations. Okay? It's the variations that make each specific organism unique within the population. All right? Sound good? All right, so that's the start of evolution. Next up, natural selection.